My button. My goodness. Oh, my boastfulness popped a button. We start with, well, who could have seen this coming? Joker gets the MVP before the game and then shows everybody why during it. 47-13. Anthony Edwards was impressed. Take a listen.
I just laugh. That's all I can do. I mean, I can't be mad because he good, man. I think I said that after game one when we won, and game two. Like, he the MVP, he's the best player in the NBA. And he showed it the last three games in a row. And tonight, he was special tonight. I got to give him his flowers. It was, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we were supposed to. Yeah, he was that guy tonight.
Eek. Joker last night, 40 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists, 0 turnovers. Shot 68%, bro. He was playing his best when the lights were the brightest. That's not true for everybody. Sometimes people like to dim the lights.
No, God, this doesn't make narrative sense.
Get a little music.
Wow. This is a gentleman bit. And that's why that club was out.
You know that's apple juice.
Well, a gentleman doesn't drink during the day. Brew?
This doesn't make sense.
Wow, 6 games is a dog fight.
Yeah.
You're a gentleman in a dog fight. This is if they win in 6 or 7, it's a dog fight. You acting like it's a gentleman.
It just doesn't make sense.
I'm just acting like a gentleman. I think there's different levels of gentlemanliness. Certainly one level, gentleman sweep, give him 1 game.
Yeah.
Are you a true gentleman? Give him 2.
Okay. All right,
Bro?
go ahead, bro.
Well, look, I picked them to win last night. I picked Denver to win last night, so I'm not surprised.
Be careful, it's a little
buddy.
stiff.
I appreciate it.
I do want to say something though. Is it really?
I don't know.
A gentleman's
Glenlivet, I'm not
Oh,
sure what it
it's
is. Go ahead,
strong
bro.
Mott's.
Yeah.
You got to give props to Jokic. Anthony Edwards is exactly right. I mean, my goodness. Look, first, Aaron Gordon played, I thought, great.
Yep.
KCP hit some big shots.
I thought he hit twice. He hit shots when it felt like could Minnesota get back in it, and he hit that shot. You're like,
no,
God,
and in fact, from each corner.
That's exactly
2
right.
corner threes.
Yep.
Christian Brown. There's been talk about the bench. Reggie Jackson played pretty well in the first half. Christian Brown came up with some big plays. But Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. weren't really, Jamal was okay, but they didn't put their imprint on the game. And Jokic, I mean, he did it all. He played with muscle. He played with finesse. His footwork was tremendous. He hit hook shots. He obviously has a few dunks, which is unusual for him. He hit some big threes. He destroyed the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He just annihilated him. And Gobert had actually guarded him fairly well in the first few games of the series. So Jokic, look, and Nick, I'm going to say this. I am already doing it. Now, last year after Jokic won his first championship, I said he's the 7th greatest center ever.
Yep.
I am moving him ahead of Moses Malone.
Just on last night.
Well,
That was kind of
he was
an
close.
accumulation.
Yep.
It was already close. I'm moving him ahead of Moses. I just think he's better. I mean, he does everything. And he's chasing Olajuwon, obviously, to get in the top 5. But he was tremendous. Denver also, great defense. They doubled Anthony Edwards. That was a nice adjustment from Michael Malone. And also, they protected the rim well. In Game 4, I was like, man, Ant can get to the rim. And there's nobody there to even dissuade him at the rim. And last night, they protected the rim really well, too. So just an all-around great performance by the Nuggets.
Go ahead, Wallace.
I was going to talk about the turnovers.
Sure.
We talked about everything else. 0 turnovers, 30 points, 10 assists, 0 turnover games. This season, including the playoffs, Joker has 4. The rest of the NBA has 4 total. And specifically, I wanted to shout this out because the turnovers were driving me batty. Last game against the Lakers, even though they won, he had 7 turnovers. First game against the Wolves, which they obviously lost, he had 7. Next game, he had 4. Last night, he had 0. So just hold on to the ball, take care of it. No free points. I feel like the Wolves thrive on turnovers, almost like an NFL team. They thrive on turnovers, get a little more energy, get a little more think we can to them. But it didn't happen, and it was just a delight.
Well, so I think that you guys almost understated how brilliant Joker was. So I'll get into that. But first, I do want to give Wilds props. Brew, he's 43% of the way to being right. So he's almost halfway to being right that no one's beating Denver in a 7-game series. They have 7 of the 16 games they have to win for you to be correct. But you are back from the brink.
Yep.
And you, to your credit, put yourself out there yesterday guaranteeing a Denver win. I thought that was foolish. And the reason it felt guaranteed in the second half was because of Nikola Jokic. And so that third quarter by Jokic was, and we can show you the numbers, and the numbers are great, but they're not historic. Like, we've seen quarters like this. Sure. If you watched it, it was perfect offensive basketball. It was absolutely apex perfect offensive basketball against Rudy, who was not playing poorly. So to me, there are almost 4 main characters from this game. Jokic is obviously one of them, and it is back-to-back A-plus games in the biggest spots imaginable. And that, by the way, is how you become legendary. You mentioned Dream. There was a bit of Dream seeing the Admiral get the MVP and then hanging the 41-16, 4-3, and 2 on him. In Jokic yesterday, dropping 40, his first ever 40-point playoff win. Yeah. Typically, when he's scored like that, it's because they're undermanned or it's been a strategy. So he was brilliant.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Obviously, Jokic was unbelievable. And to Nick's point, that's why you can't ever just look at the box score or just look at, the numbers and the stats, because they rarely tell the whole story. But when you're watching that game, the biggest takeaway was they can't stop him offensively. They just can't stop him. He gets whatever he wants. And it's all like 5 inches away from the rim practically. Now, I don't want to overstate the whole going up against Gobert, because good offense, good strong offense does that, beats those defensive players all the time. Joel Embiid did it against Wembanyama and Rudy, and now Jokic obviously as well. So we don't need to make that bigger than it is, quite honestly, because it's just when you are as big and as strong and as physical as a Jokic or an Embiid, you're going to be able to take advantage of Rudy Gobert, which has been proven again and again. And again, Wembanyama was considered to be potentially Defensive Player of the Year as well, and Embiid hung 70 on him. And I believe that Jokic would be able to do the same thing if he wanted as well. So I don't think we have to emphasize that more just to kind of sell the picture on Jokic. But to me, when you're watching that game, it's just so clear. You're just like, well, what do you do to stop Jokic? And the benefit that the Denver Nuggets have going for them is that they have a lot of shot makers. So if you do now want to double team Jokic, he's obviously a great skilled passer. Jamal Murray is going to be open. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be open. Aaron Gordon's going to be open. You just have so many people that are going to be open that are then going to be able to hit the shot or going for a dunk or whatever. And that's where Denver can now completely unmatch and unman the Timberwolves. Because the Timberwolves, let's say you double Ant, the whole thing is like, is Cat going to be hot right now? Yes or no? And it's like, and are these other players going to be able to step up when need be? Rudy Gobert is not a big time shot maker, obviously. So there's the Denver Nuggets have, or the Timberwolves have more of have more offensive liabilities than Denver Nuggets. And the name of the game is score points. And so with the Timberwolves' great defense over those first 2 games, they were able to minimize that. They were able to take away the offense from Denver. Therefore, the Timberwolves were able to shine in that regard. Now when that defense has kind of been, I don't want to say neutralized, but the refs are certainly not letting it be as physical as it was before, which is frustrating because I love the physicality of those first 2 games. And so that's now being neutralized. And so now the offense is going to be able to shine. When defense isn't really physical and hard, offense will always be good defense. They say that in the broadcast all the time, right? You'll hear like a Reggie Miller, that was fantastic defense by so-and-so, just better offense. And that's the way it always is. Whether it's football, whether it's baseball, basketball, soccer, that's why a lot of these leagues have started gravitating towards more offensive-driven mentality, coaches, rules within the game itself, because offense. And so to me, when that gets a little bit more neutralized, that's now when Denver can really kind of take that step forward. And so I wonder if there was a talk, because there was all those issues after the second game, and obviously the Denver Nuggets were unhappy and that, and I just wonder if there was a conversation of saying like, yeah, it was physical, but don't let it be that physical again. That was too physical or something. I really wonder, because it's a shame. And it doesn't matter who you're rooting for in this series. Obviously, it's going to benefit the Nuggets because the Timberwolves have a great defense, and if you can't let them be as physical, you're taking away one of the things that makes them a good team, right? It's like it's like in football, if you have a player, if your quarterback has a cannon and can throw 80 yards down the field, and that's why your team's winning and why you're winning all those games. If you now play in a snowstorm and you can't throw the ball, your team is not going to be as good. That's just the reality. So to me, that's kind of what the Timberwolves are facing. Their defense was able to make up for some of their offensive liabilities, not to mention good defense will often lead to easier offense, easier buckets, and that's just not what you're having right now. And then, of course, you have Cat banged up a little bit, Conley banged up a little bit, and then that's kind of the recipe to see what you got there. And Denver Nuggets are also a great team. They're obviously they're the champions for a reason. They're an unbelievable team, and they're showing why. And the biggest thing that I had said about the Nuggets that they have going for them over any of these other teams is that they know without a shadow of a doubt how to win a championship and how to overcome adversity that these other teams have not had to do. Whether it's OKC, whether it's Dallas, whether it's the Timberwolves, the Celtics, the Knicks, they don't have that level of experience that Denver does. Denver can go down 0-2 and say, guys, we are champions. We won a championship with this roster. We can win. Let's not panic. We got this. Let's go. Because they got punched in the face and then thrown in the middle of the street and backed up over and over and over again. And they were able to come back and now take the lead 3-2. I don't think an OKC or a Minnesota or the Knicks or any of these other teams are capable of doing that because of their youth and inexperience. So that is the biggest thing that the Denver Nuggets have going for them. And that is why they have a big leg up on that. And it's going to be fascinating to see what the Timberwolves do going forward. Can they punch back? Can this go to 7 games? Because it's been a great series, so I really hope it does, because a game 7 would be wild. I mean, can you imagine how intense that'll be? So I really hope, just from like a fan and entertainment perspective, like I really, really hope Minnesota Timberwolves can win this next game. Then we got game 7s are always real fun. And to me, these really are these two teams are really physical, can really kind of go back and forth. And I would assume a game 7 would be a little bit more physical, that they would minimize some of these ticky-tack fouls, but you never know in the NBA. But the Nuggets look pretty difficult to beat at this point, the way how they're playing right now. And the Timberwolves need to figure out how to get more offense and how to get other players going. It can't all come down to Ant, because Ant is still young and he has the ability to lay some eggs. Even Jokic laid some eggs. And that's the problem. You need other people to pick up the slack when your main guy can't do it all. And right now, that's not where the Timberwolves have. And that's not Cat's personality. And that's why people saw Cat not being able to be the number one option, the leader, because Cat doesn't have that in him. And I think Karl-Anthony Towns is a fantastic player and a great player. And I love Cat, and I think he's been absolutely crucial for the success of the Timberwolves, him and Ant together. But again, make no mistake about it, it's not just Jokic and Murray. It's Jokic, it's Murray, it's Michael Porter Jr., it's Aaron Gordon. It's all of the pieces together. You need it all together. And that's why I also said before this game was played that they have to try to get Rudy Gobert offensively going too. I understand he's not the guy who you're expecting to put up 30 points, but you got to somehow get him easier buckets. You got to get easy buckets. The Denver Nuggets are getting easy buckets. The Timberwolves, every bucket is like brutal to get. It's like, it's just like everything is so much harder to get. They have to find a way to get easier buckets, easier shots. And I think a part of that is getting Rudy Gobert involved, and then that can kind of open up the floor. That can kind of keep the defense a little bit more honest, which then gives space for Cat or Ant to be able to kind of work within. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. Is there ever a doubt that Denver would win this series? And what do you think about all these guys? Seriously, you see it on First Take, see it on The Herd, you see it on First Things First. Everybody had the Denver Nuggets dead to rights, and now they're like, well, Denver Nuggets are the best team. And I thought the Timberwolves were going to win it. When you saw those first two games, you were like, how could anyone come back from this? The Timberwolves are firing at all cylinders. But, the Nuggets championship pedigree is definitely coming out right now, and Jokic especially. So let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.